So, because he was presenting himself as a healer when I met him, I told him, what I had just gone through, what I had just healed myself through. He listened to me for about 6 hours, okay? And I felt like that was the culmination of my healing, finally having someone, to listen to what I had gone through. It felt like that was the end of it. And he took that and ran with it. He took that to mean he was a mental health professional all of a sudden now, because I told him, that it was the culmination. I didn't tell him he healed me. It had taken me 2 years before I met him to even get to that point where I was healed. You know what I'm saying? So he didn't heal me, but he took that and ran with it. And that's been part of his story going forward. Okay. That's part of why he tells people he's a mental health professional when, Yizzreal has very little lived life experience. Okay. Again, the last time I checked, he was still living with his mother, had ghosted a woman, had caused a woman to have a miscarriage, okay, because he's a narcissist, okay? He was still back living with his mama. He was working at Amazon, but his spiel was, I'm an engineer with an electrical background. Okay, I knew that was all. He would always say the same stuff like it was a script, because it is. It's like if I say it like this, it'll sound a certain way until people won't question it. But I guarantee you, if you start asking questions just like her, okay, it all begins to unravel. I'm an engineer with an electrical background. I'm a master healer. I am a mental health professional. I can help you with your mental health, okay? Even though I ain't never healed from any of the stuff that I've been through, never stepped outside of my mama's house, or haven't even stepped on the path that you're, damn near halfway down. I can help you with your mental health. He is a women's womb specialist, okay? Off the tea that I made, okay? We have a woman coming saying, I drank that uterine flush tea that y'all sent me that I made, okay? And, now I don't have whatever it is that I had going on, okay? He has her give a testimony, and now that's his validation that he is a women's womb specialist, okay? So I'm telling you, I watched him add these titles to himself. I watched him build this mask, okay? Because he used Yaki so much, I started to go watch him for myself and realize he is copying this man's whole personality, okay? And then I saw him begin to steal my energy, tell my stories like it had happened to him. I watched other people come into our live, offer information that he didn't have before, and then the next time he was live, he had incorporated their information into his whole spiel, into his whole protocol. He would add other people's information into his whole protocol without ever giving the people credit, okay? The only person I've ever seen him give credit to is Yaki, and after Yaki threatened to sue him, then he doesn't even give him credit anymore, as far as I know. He acts like he went and learned this information when he has always been the type to, like, even when, we're on Bigo, he would look for people who were already live, and he would look for the people who had the most people in their live room. So a person who had already worked to build up, thousands of people in their live for themselves, he would then slide into that room and try to capture all the attention for him. Okay, that was his strategy. And this is his strategy throughout life, which is why he thought he was going to just strong arm me out of my business so that people would never figure out that he didn't really have anything to do with those people being healed, that I was the one who actually had created those herbal remedies and sent it to him, and that he was the one sitting up on Clubhouse and all these other places taking the credit for it without even mentioning me. These people didn't even know that I existed in it, because I didn't care about the clout and attention from other people. I never have. And so that made it easy for him to just act like I didn't exist. Okay. And then once I realized that he was acting like I didn't exist, this was when I started to call him out about trying to front like he was the boss, like he owned everything. And he eventually tried to strong arm me out of my whole business, which is why he betrayed me. Okay. I paid him very well when he worked for me, and I treated him very well. I treated him like family, and he betrayed me when my mother passed away. Okay. He felt like I was weak and in a vulnerable state at that time. time. And this is when he decided to launch his copy of my website that he had been creating the whole time that he had been working for me, or them last few months that he had been working for me. Okay. It really started when I started to call him out about copying my energy and stealing my energy. And he had started to build this copy of my website, which I discovered before he could even get it built, and called him out about that as well. He swore up and down that that wasn't what it was. But once he finished it, you see what he's out here doing. He's out here trying to be me. He is, I'm telling you, the story, the parable of the wheat and the tares in the Bible is the reason why we have so many. It's not the reason, it is the explanation of all of these copies, the people trying to destiny swap, and people with all these false identities, because they are the tares. Okay. And that's going to be a whole nother video, but basically, that's all they can do. They don't have, that nutritional value that the actual wheat has, which means, they're not filled with the spirit of the Most High God. Okay. Of a compassionate creator. All they know how to do is take. Okay, and this is how you know the difference between God's children and the devil's children. Okay, but those who have become an excellent actor, they use the visage of, that's not the word I wanted to use. What's the word, Spirit? The facade of being a helper. I'm a healer. I'm a doctor. I'm this and that. This is the typical covert narcissistic behavior. Okay. And in the case of Yizzreal, he is a malignant covert narc. Okay. Because he pretends to want to help, but literally he hates women. He is misogynistic. Okay. And and so talking about being a women's womb specialist, very dangerous coming from a man who hates women. Okay. Who calls, I ain't even finna get into it, but some of the things that I've seen him and heard him do. Okay. He was even passing around naked pictures of this woman who was attracted to him at his job at Amazon. He had naked pictures of her. Okay. And if he tries to lie about it, I can go back and find the receipts, because he sent me the pictures. Okay. This is how immature he is. Okay. This was a woman who was a couple of years older than him that thought that he was flirting with her. So she sent him, he might have even asked her for those pictures. I don't know how he got them. But once he got them, he started sending them and showing them to people and making fun of the lady and talking about how nasty it looks and all of that, which is why I believe he's also DL. Okay. But that's beyond the point. Okay. The point that I'm trying to make is, when a narcissist is not checked on the first lie, that nose begins to grow, baby. Okay. It's a whole bunch of Pinocchios out here. Okay. It feels good to them because they like, damn, they believe it. And so since other people believe it, it makes it more real to them. And so they like, damn, okay. So I'm a women's womb specialist. Yeah. And, so you know what? I'm a mental health professional, because she said, that I listened to her for them 6 hours, that healed her. Nobody told him that, but that's what he told himself. And so now he's a mental health professional. He's a women's womb specialist. He is a master healer. Okay. Ain't got now credential and ain't made no herbs or nothing. He was saying all of this before he ever tried to be associated with making or selling any herbs. You know what I'm saying? I have always been the one behind the scenes doing the actual work and keeping the business going. I am the one in the behind the scenes who came into the whole picture, came and brought to the table my business that was already up and running. Okay. He didn't have a business. Native didn't have a business. So whatever story they've been telling, they are liars. And so is Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Okay. And those lies are beginning to unravel. And I can't wait till somebody starts to ask Yizzreal the right questions, because his mask will also begin to unravel. Okay. But what they do is they like to control the narrative. Even if you ask him a question he can't answer, he's going to tell you so much other bullshit that you will forget the question that you even asked. Okay. He's going to fill your head with a word salad, and you're going to think that you got the answer to the question, because he's going to make you forget the question. Okay. This is how he does it. He lies by omission and you know, and by embellishment and, you know, just assumption, and it's just a lot of mind games and word play that don't work on everybody. Okay. And I am so glad that, you know, the light is being shined on all of these fake ass healers, because these people actually